For the past few months, I've been seeing a lot of people in the hockey card community say that Upper Deck is pushing hockey cards into another junk wax era. Now, what does that mean? Basically, a junk wax era is like 1990s Pro Set, early 90s Upper Deck, stuff like that. Late 80s Tops and O-Pee-Chee. Basically, what people are saying is that Upper Deck is producing too many products, that it's pushing hockey cards into another junk wax era because there's just too many. You've got some people saying that there are too many cards produced, that Upper Deck is overproducing product. So people are very worried, and like with the release of Extended Series, I've seen plenty of people say that Upper Deck's making too many products and that we're entering another junk wax era. And since I'm bored and I have no life, I'll explain to you why in this video that I don't believe Upper Deck is entering another junk wax era with hockey cards. So what I've done here is I put together every single product of the 4 North American major sports, including, unlicensed ones or online exclusives. I put them all together and I've counted them up. So this is the first part we're going to be taking a look at in this video. And as you can see here, here's the hockey cards. I've sorted them out into the different types of releases and the different types of, unlicensed or if it's licensed, that kind of thing. And as you can see here, there's 27 full licensed releases, so stuff like Upper Deck Series 1 that you can buy both online on ePack and in a hobby store and Walmart, all sorts of stuff like that, right? So if it's a full release, like a box or a pack online, that's what this blue part is here. You got 4 full unlicensed releases, which are in the game, Leaf. You got the Panini, Capo Caco, and Vitaly Kravtsov releases. You got 3 minor league releases. 8 licensed promo products, as you can see here, Tim Hortons ones I did include as a promo set, the Tim Hortons team ones, that is, for the Blue Jackets, Red Wings, and Sabres. 2 online only products, which were the game dated moments. You can buy those as singles on ePack. St. Louis Blues Championship set that you could only buy online, and I believe in the St. Louis Blues team store and places like that. I wouldn't say it's a full release though. So in total there were 51 releases, 34 full releases. And this is you'll see how it compares to the other sports. So here's basketball, another sport where a lot of collectors are saying that they're entering a junk wax era. As you can see here, I haven't bunched it up into, promo sets and stuff like that. That would just take too long, especially for baseball. So I've just stuck to the full releases and total releases for the other sports. And as you can see here, there's more full releases for basketball, but there are less total releases. And this is kind of surprising. When I was putting this together, I was kind of surprised that there were less total releases for basketball. But that does not mean there are less basketball cards than there are hockey, and you will see that soon. Here's football. So you got 68 total releases, with 53 of them being full releases. And this is a lot more than there are basketball and hockey for both full and just total releases. But this does not match up to baseball. And here is baseball. So yeah, 137 total products, 86 full releases. And a big factor in this is both Panini and Topps making a lot of products. You have the standard Panini products, Donruss, Donruss Optic, Select, Prism, that sort of stuff. And you got all of these Topps products that you got. And a lot of them are online exclusive. As you can see, a lot of these are not full releases. There's a good chunk of them that are online only. And this includes some Leaf stuff is in here too, in the game, Lumber Kings, whatever they call it. And they've also got Onyx products, a few of those in here as well. And yeah, there are a lot of them here, and as you can probably just look at this and say, oh yeah, baseball's probably entering a junk wax era. I wouldn't say that necessarily either, but if there's one case you got to make for a junk wax era, it's probably baseball, and the numbers do support that idea. So what I've done to gather the numbers of cards that are, perhaps produced, you never know the exact amount, right? But to get a good idea, I've gone to COMC.com and I've totaled up the card numbers submitted for each sport. And this should be unfair to hockey, right? Because hockey has ePack. Upper Deck has e-Pack, and you can transfer e-Pack cards straight to COMC and sell them straight to COMC. So you've got tons of stuff flooding. You've got like 1,000 Shining Stars, 1,000 portraits, even 1,000 Young Guns are posted on the site for sale of the same one, not of multiple altogether. So it should be unfair to hockey, right? And hockey should have a lot more than these other sports, because these other sports don't have an e-Pack. There's no form of that for these other sports. You can't just send stuff to COMC for free like you can with e-Pack. And you may be surprised with the results. So here we've got the total numbers. We've got full releases, total products for each sport from last season's products. We've got the COMC count. Now what is the COMC count? It is the current amount of cards submitted to COMC that are available for sale. So it doesn't include sold out. Should have probably done that, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Anyway, as you can see, hockey's got half of what the second lowest sport has submitted. Football, 66,000. Hockey has only 31,000 cards submitted to COMC, and this includes e-Pack cards. So, this should give, e-Pack should give hockey cards a huge advantage for like numbers, cards submitted, but it's less than half of football, which is the second lowest product. This is pretty telling, in my opinion, of whether or not hockey cards are entering a junk wax era. And I know this isn't this year's products, I should say. This is last year's products, but that's the fair way to do things, because you still have got, you still have got 2020-21 Upper Deck products. You still got 2021 football products, basketball. You still got stuff coming out. That's why I chose to do last year, and I think that's the most fair way to put the numbers, because they really aren't that different. And something you should note here, of the 69,000 basketball cards currently available on COMC from last season's products, almost half of that is Prism stuff. Half of that, 29,000 to be exact, is Prism stuff, and that doesn't include like, a Flux parallel that says Prism on the back. This is just stuff that's like, a silver Prism or a tricolor Prism from Select, something like that. Half of that is Prism cards. And that's pretty crazy to think about. There's more of that than there are hockey cards available on COMC combined, all total. And that's really crazy to think about. There's more basketball Prism cards for sale on COMC currently than there are hockey cards total. And that's just the shiny refractor stuff. That doesn't include, acetate, standard cardstock, foil board. That's just chrome with a refractor finish. Totals the hockey card amount. Another crazy stat is that there are 6,400 Mosaic basketball cards available on COMC for sale right now. 6,000. That is a fifth of the total amount of hockey cards available on COMC. A single product would make up for a fifth of the total amount of hockey cards submitted on COMC. A single basketball card product is a fifth of the entire hockey card amount on COMC. That's crazy. And yes, I know this isn't this year's products, but there's still so many products to come out for each sport that it's really not fair to compare this year's products. Like Mosaic basketball for this year hasn't released yet, and that would count for a huge amount for the basketball cards. It doesn't show sales, but clearly the sales are pretty close. Of course, we can't see how many have sold for each card on COMC or eBay for each sport. You can't see that. But this gives you a good idea. Here's the two top rookies, picks 1 and 2 from basketball and hockey, from the each flagship release. And the numbers are basically the same, right? And one's e-Pack, of course, so that will help the sales, of course, boost it a bit. And one's not. And this really does show you how much hockey is produced less than something like basketball. Thousands of these Prism rookies are submitted for basketball, and it's not even on e-Pack. The same amount of Young Guns are submitted, and it is e-Pack. And it tells you how much they're made. It tells you way more basketball is made because people are shipping. They're paying to ship these. They're paying to submit them to COMC. You don't have to do that with e-Pack. Almost all of these anyway are e-Pack. None of these are e-Pack for basketball. A thing a lot of people don't think about is how products are now compared to back in the day. Back in Pro Set, you had just a couple chaser cards. You had the Stanley Cup hologram. These days, in something like Upper Deck, you've got Young Gun short prints. You've got serial numbered cards. You got jerseys, autographs, all that sort of stuff. Short print insert. There's a lot more to look for. It's not like you're just getting base and base and base. Like, you're not going to open a box and pull 3 Jack Hughes Young Guns like you would back in the day, and you pull 3 Pavel Bure Young Guns. It's not like that. They will have that chaser factor to them, like, you know, the Stanley Cup hologram and a pro set that still sells for hundreds of dollars. There will always be demand for something as long as the player is good, even base. But it's not like pro set back in the day. Not all of these inserts of good players are going to be sitting in 10-cent bins with no one wanting to buy them. It's not going to be like that. Cards are just not as mass produced as they were back in the day. You're not going to get 30 Sidney Crosby base cards out of a case of Upper Deck Series 1. That's not how it works anymore. The individual cards are printed much less than they were. Things are just not made the same as they were in the 90s. There's much less made per individual card. There's more chasers. There's more products, but that doesn't mean there are more cards made. Are we entering another junk wax era because Upper Deck is making some new products? Simple answer is no. Cards will be fine. We're not going to see a dramatic crash in values. Will some stuff go down? Of course, but in the end it depends on what the card is and what the market is looking for, what the market's into, what people want to buy. We're not going to see a drop in cards like we saw in the 90s. Not every single card from these recent releases will be ending up in 10-cent boxes with no interest at all. We're not entering another junk wax era. Upper Deck's not mass producing cards like Pro Set. And sure, while there may be too many products, some products may not be necessary, it doesn't really harm the value of other cards. If anything, it boosts the value of cards that people want, right? Without a measly product like SPX or Trilogy or SP Game Used, people wouldn't see something as a Future Watch as one of the premium cards. They'd see it as the same level, because that level of cards like SPX does not exist. SPA, something like that, would take its place. So yeah, we're not entering a junk wax era. Do not worry about that. Don't go saying that just because Upper Deck makes a couple new products every now and then. We're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're not in a junk wax era.